Hi, everyone, and welcome to Bioinformatics 151. My name's Kim, and I'm going to be your prof for this course. You can call me Professor Kim, Dr. Kim, Dr. McKay, Kim. Whatever works for you works for me. I don't really care. I will preface this video with thanking you in advance for listening to my marble mouth, which I've been told I have a little bit of, as well as me stumbling over a few of my words. I am on YouTube, obviously, based on this video, but I am by no means a professional YouTube editor. I don't have fancy transitions and perfectly scripted videos. It's very much as if we were in a live class together and you get what you get with me, so thank you in advance. Welcome to the class. Before we get started, I wanted to do a little bit of an icebreaker. And I know icebreakers are a little bit cringe and they can be anxiety inducing. So if it does cause you anxiety, you don't need to do this. It's mostly just a way for me to get to know each of you a little bit better. Since we're not in person, I don't get those kind of informal chats at the beginning while we're waiting for a lecture to start. And I do want to get to know y'all a little bit better. Beyond just your homework that you hand in and we grade and all of that kind of stuff. So what I would like you to do is to go to the Canvas page and the discussion boards, and under the MISC discussion, post a little intro to yourself. I added some prompts to this slide of different things that you could pull from for inspiration, like your favorite book, movie, video game, hobby, favorite kind of cookie. You'll know you're in the right space because you'll see a little bit of a blurb about myself, as well as I probably got into my favorite video game because I do love me some video games. For anyone who wasn't able to find that, just for a bit of background, I did my undergrad in biochemistry at the University of Saskatchewan, and then I did my master's and PhD in computer science, but really in bioinformatics research, also at the University of Saskatchewan. And I've been working in nonprofits, in industry, all over the place ever since then. I'll give a little more details about my career journey in my discussion post if you're interested in that. But when I took my first bioinformatics class at the University of Saskatchewan, I think it was the very first bioinformatics class that they offered. And I took it because I was a big nerd. Still am proud to be a nerd. I use that as a term of endearment. But I really loved research. And so in my summers and even part-time during the school year, I was working in a research lab. And we were doing all kinds of like DNA extraction and marker-assisted breeding for plants and different things like this. And we always got to the point where we needed to do some kind of analysis with the data that we got out of all of these kind of wet lab experiments. And I wanted to know how to use all of these tools better. So I was really keen to understand the different websites we could use for the different kinds of questions that we had. I was not so keen on learning about anything to do with computer science, which you might be a little bit surprised about given that I then went and got a master's and PhD in it. But I was like very hands off. I knew how to make my MySpace page cool back in the day. I could be a little bit dangerous with Google. My social media was like chef's kiss. Other than that, I didn't want to know how to program. I was not interested in any of that like command line, CSI, hacker stuff. I was very much like a pipette girly, and that's how I wanted to stay. So it wasn't actually until after my undergrad that I took my first computer science course, and I found out that computers are incredibly dumb, and if you learn how to talk to them, you can make them do all sorts of wonderful things so that you have more time to focus on more important things. Now, since I took that first bioinformatics class, it has shifted a little bit, and it now does include some of that programming content in this course. So if you're at all hesitant about it, please know I have been there. I will help you through that journey. If you want to know if you're in the right place, the slide kind of goes over the whys of why you might be taking this course. So you're either interested in the content, interested in learning some basic bioinformatics and programming skills, and or it's required for your major. You should not take this class, though, if you failed any prerequisites for this course, or you've already taken this course or one of the previous versions of this course. Because if either of those are true, you won't get credit for the course. And if you failed the prerequisites and it is required for your major, you will need to retake it at a later date once you've passed those prerequisites. I know that's a bit confusing, so if you have questions, I highly recommend you talk to an academic advisor. I am not an academic advisor. I am, as I mentioned though, dangerous with Google, so I can figure out what email you need in order to connect you with the right academic advisor. I know different departments have them. I know different colleges have them. So just shoot me a message if you need some help figuring that out. All right, the course page is on Canvas. Now, typically at this point in our welcome lecture, I would go to Canvas, sometimes with success, other times still showing you the slide and thinking that you're seeing what I'm seeing. That happened last year, nobody told me. But right now I don't actually have access to our Canvas page yet when I'm recording this video. I think they are still working on getting everything switched over in the back end to give me that permission. So as I talk through, I'd recommend having it up on the side. If you're looking for some kind of information and you can't find it, or you're seeing something and you're not quite sure what it is, I would recommend putting it in the discussion board, and then I can provide the answer and everyone will get the benefit of that clarification. I do suspect you've all found the Canvas site though, otherwise you wouldn't be here, because I, like I said, am not a professional YouTuber, and I know my SEO is not good because I don't do any SEO. All right, on the Canvas page, you will see all kinds of information. So if I remember correctly, at the top, I usually have the course syllabus. I will have the textbook for the course, which is free. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We have a page that tells you how you can get access to help for the course, how you can download the software that we'll be using for the course on your home machine. And then after that, it usually goes into weekly sections where everything that you'll need for that week's content will be contained within there. So it will have any required pre-reading that you need to do. It will have all the videos that you'll need to watch, exercises and solutions that you're expected to do on your own, any labs and assignments that are due that week, that kind of thing. I've also done a course schedule that's a Google Calendar essentially. So I have screenshots in there, but you can also download the Google Calendar if you would like, which contains all of the dates and that different pieces of the course are due, if that would be helpful for you. The midterm and the final exam will also be on Canvas, so you'll expect to see those there. They will be open book, more details to come on both of those. It is so very important for you to read the syllabus, and it's actually your responsibility as a student to read the syllabus. I will not read you the syllabus right now, because that would be probably the worst YouTube video to exist on the face of the planet. I don't claim to be a professional, but I don't want to put you to sleep either. What the syllabus is effectively like a contract between me and you of our expectations for each other for the term. So inside of there, it's going to have things like the breakdown of the percentages, what you can expect to learn in the course, any required prerequisites, what's required of you to pass the course. So there's 2 different items that you need to do in the course in order to receive a passing grade. If you don't do them, you'll get a grade of utmost 49% in the course. And so that's going to be assignment 0, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and writing the final exam. It also has a section in there on academic honesty and generative AI, so you can learn about the class policies for that. I'll touch on that a little bit later as well as information about accommodation, so how you can get a hold of me if you need an extension what kinds of things I would consider in terms of extensions for assignments and labs and things like that. So please take a look at that. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. There is probably a handful of typos in the syllabus. There will be throughout this course. I was never good at spelling. I never got good at spelling. I'm the worst at spelling. And you would think, like, all this content I'm making on a computer, surely spell check will help. No, it, it doesn't. Feel free to roast me and my spelling errors on the course discussion board. I can take it, I promise. So this course is going to be delivered primarily remotely. So all of our lectures are going to be asynchronous. So what that means is instead of you having to log on to Zoom at a certain time and listen to me blabber on for an hour, you get to just watch pre-recorded videos. And now some of these videos I have leveraged from a different course that I teach that has similar content, CMPT 140. And so you'll see those occasionally. And what will be the biggest difference there is that we're using in those courses it's called an IDE or Integrative Development Environment for our coding. CMPT 140 uses processing. This course uses PyCharm. I don't use all of the videos from CMPT 140 because it divulges a little bit after the first kind of basic concepts, but you're welcome to take a look at that playlist on the course YouTube as well. So every week you'll go into that weekly section on the Canvas page. You'll see the videos for that week, the readings if there are any. There'll be slides posted with solutions because they'll contain different exercises in them. You'll have your weekly lab exercise. Your bi-weekly assignments will be in there if they're due that week, and those kinds of things. The labs for this course, though, are synchronous, and we'll get to that in a little bit here. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention is there's 2 videos at the end of the course that I need to redo based on some feedback from last year. So if you're looking for those, you don't see them yet, I'm hoping you're not 3 months ahead of the curve yet. Just bear with me. They will be posted well in advance of the weeks that they're due. So you can access them if you are working a little bit ahead of schedule, but they're just not going to be there the first week or 2 of the class. So this is how your final grade will be calculated. You're going to have 6 assignments total in this course, each worth 5% of your final grade. There's 10 lab exercises that will either be through Canvas quizzes or this tool called Code Lab for the coding exercises. And each lab will be worth 1% each. Your midterm is going to be worth 20% of your final grade, and your final will be worth 40% of your final grade. Some important dates that are coming up. So assignment 0 is due Friday, September 12th at 8 p.m. Assignment 0 is all about academic honesty. It's about going through the academic honesty course on the library page and getting a certificate of completion and then uploading that to Canvas. Again, you have to complete this assignment on time in order to get a passing grade in the course. Typically, if you haven't done that, I will reach out to those students and encourage them to drop the class so that it doesn't negatively impact your transcript. If you have that certificate from a previous course, you can upload it, but you need to make sure it's the actual certificate and it has to be within a year of when the assignment is due. So it can't be from like a couple of years ago, and it has to be the actual certificate. It can't just be like a screenshot of the page or something like that. After that Friday, other assignments will generally be due every other Friday at 8 p.m., starting on Friday, September 19th. Labs are going to be due every Wednesday at 8 p.m., starting on Wednesday, September 17th. And the midterm exam will be on Friday, October 24th. Again, on Canvas, it will be open book, and you'll have any time during the day that you're allowed to do the exam. And then it will be on a timer so that once you start, you only get an hour and a half, I think it is. I'll double check and post it at Canvas announcement to complete it. Final exams are scheduled by the university. can't make travel plans until the final exam schedule is released. I will let you know as soon as I know because I would also like to book some travel for December. So I will be watching my emails like a hawk. Lab sessions are not asynchronous like the lectures. They are synchronous and they will take place in the Spinks computer lab. So if you go through Thorvaldsen, there's a little Spinks edition. Take the elevator up to the 3rd floor. There's not only like an open lab space that you can use any of those computers up there, but there's also a couple of rooms. Your lab will be in one of those rooms. They'll begin the week of September 15th, which is the first week that the labs are due. And you'll get to meet your lab leader and complete your lab exercise, get help with any assignments or course content. It's kind of like free tutoring. Labs are designed so that you can actually complete that lab exercise that's assigned for the week within that time frame. So you'll have the help of the TA there if you get stuck, have questions, those kinds of things. Being remote with me puts you at a distance from getting help from me. And I fully understand that. But I want you to all know that I'm very committed to helping you with your work, whether it's understanding course material, finding bugs in code, planning assignments, designing assignment solutions, that kind of thing. I'm here to help you with that. So is the TA. Please don't be shy and reach out if you have questions, even if you think they're silly. We don't want you struggling alone, and don't procrastinate. So it usually takes me about 24 hours to get back to emails. That's what I try as like my maximum time to get back to them, except for on weekends because I do get a little bit busy on weekends. But that means if you're emailing me the day the assignment's due, I might not be able to get back to you depending on what's going on with my full-time job, things in my life, those kinds of things. So if you get started early, you're emailing me early, you're posting questions on the discussion board early, we'll be able to give you the most amount of help. I'll have regular help hours via Zoom. So I believe they're going to be Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Every week. You're going to be free to join the Zoom meeting. There'll be a waiting room. So if I am helping a different student, you'll just be in that waiting room until I'm done helping them, and then I will let you in. So that way you can like share your screen, show me what you're working on. I can be a second set of eyes on it to kind of help figure out where you might be stuck a little bit and guide you through that. You can also send me an email if those times don't work, and I will do my best to accommodate. Academic honesty is super important in our first year courses. There's always a handful of academic dishonesty cases that I have to deal with in this class as well as the other first year classes that I teach. We want you to do your own work in this class, but it doesn't mean struggle alone. So reach out to the instructional team if you need help. Ways that you can protect yourself from academic dishonesty is never ever copy solutions from the internet. So sites like Chegg, Homework Helper, we know they exist. We probably already have the solutions from them. We have software that runs your solutions versus every solution that we have found scraped from the internet for the questions that get posted, and we're able to identify how similar yours are. So even just changing a few things, it's going to get flagged. It's going to result in some uncomfortable meetings as well as a penalty on your assignment. For this course, you are not allowed to use generative AI for your solutions, things like ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., because you are learning the basics here, and we want you to be able to build on those and not just be relying on an external tool to do these things. Again, we have code that we run solutions through to identify how much generative AI content is likely present. It's actually ridiculously easy to spot for the markers when they're going through it. They usually can flag it before we even have to run it. Then we run everything through. We see what percentage it is. And again, it results in a penalty on that assignment. If you've done this multiple times, it could result in a formal case, which would have more serious consequences because it would go to the dean. Just don't do it. Don't do it to verify solutions. Don't do it to get ideas from solutions. It's a great tool, but it's a great tool once you have learned those basics first. Also, don't ever want you to upload assignment text, exam text, etc. to the internet, this is not only academic dishonesty, but it's a violation of the university's copyright law, and it gets litigious really fast. Don't be the reason that the lawyers from the university need to reach out. It's just not a good idea. You should also never send your assignment code or solution to another student. Even if they're your friend, they're asking really nice, they just want to see it. I've been teaching for over 10 years, and there has been a number of times that somebody sent their solution to their friend. The friend said they just wanted to look at it, and the friend ended up uploading it as their own solution, and both students were penalized. Protect yourself. Do not send your solution to somebody else. If you submit something and it turns out that it was generated in some sort of academic dishonest way, you will receive a stronger penalty for that assignment than if you would have just not handed anything in for that question at all. If you have questions when you're working on things like, what am I allowed to talk to people about? Who can I ask these kinds of questions to? I'm not sure. Please just come to me and have that conversation. I'm here to help you navigate those things. Once you submit something, my hands are tied and I have to follow the university policies, but I do understand how confusing they can be from the student's perspective. So I am here to help you navigate that and give you advice on how to best get unstuck, but also protect yourself from these situations we've seen time and time again. When you have questions, be sure to check the answer isn't in the readings. Check the Canvas forms. If you don't see the question there, consider posting it, especially if it's not looking through at your actual code. It's more like an understanding or clarification question. I can promise you I'd have 10 other emails waiting for a response. So let everyone get the benefit of that clarification, and that way I don't need to respond to each person individually. I will post announcements if I see trends for the kinds of questions I'm getting from assignments so that people do get that clarification. But I promise you, you are not the only one. Make sure you consult with the instructional teams. That's the TA and me, whether it's from my help hours on Zoom, the labs that are in person, or through the Canvas discussion boards. We're here to help. You can also send me official requests like extensions and stuff like that, or questions via email. You can send them over Canvas, but I don't get notified for some reason when Canvas messages get sent to me. It's like my biggest pet peeve of the Canvas platform as an instructor. I do get notified about the Outlook one. So my Outlook responses are generally a little bit more responsive than the Canvas ones. I do still try to log on to Canvas every single day just to make sure that there's no emails waiting for me there. All right, that's all I have for you. I hope you really enjoy this course. I'm really looking forward to going through all the material with you and helping you through assignments and seeing how far you all come from our first day of class to the end of the semester. Happy coding and happy bioinformatics day. I need a better saying for that. Bye, y'all.